Welcome to the Jurassic Coast. I'm Dr. Angela Catwa-Ford and I work for the Jurassic Coast Trust as the Programme Manager for Learning. The Jurassic Coast is located in the United Kingdom. It's on the south coast of England and it actually falls into two counties, Dorset and Devon. At the eastern end of the site, it begins at Old Harry Rocks in Dorset and it stretches all the way through to East Devon, where it ends at Orcombe Point in Exmouth. The Jurassic Coast is a World Heritage Site because of its internationally important rocks, fossils and landforms. In fact, the coast itself charts 185 million years of Earth's history in just 95 miles of coast. Across the Jurassic Coast, there are three major geological periods. Towards the west of the site are the Triassic rocks, which are some rich red sandstones. These formed about 250 million years ago and they are the oldest rocks on the site. In the middle of the site are the Jurassic rocks, and these are typified as clays and limestones and shales, and they formed about 201 million years ago. Towards the eastern end of the site are the Cretaceous rocks, and these are limestones and chalks, and they formed about 145 million years ago. The rocks tell a story of changing environments, evolving plants and animals, and an extraordinary change in sea level and climate. It really is a walk through time, because as you travel from one end of the coast, from the west to the east, the rocks get younger. Across the Jurassic Coast, there are what we call gateway towns. These are popular destinations for visitors to access the Jurassic Coast. There are a number of gateway towns across the Jurassic Coast, and they include Swanage, Weymouth, Lyme Regis, Charmouth, Sidmouth and Exmouth. They are large towns on the coast which have plenty of facilities and attractions for tourists when they visit the Jurassic Coast. There are plenty of things for people to do on the Jurassic Coast. They can either take a walk along one of the beaches or on the coast path, especially on a beautiful sunny day like this, or they can visit the multitude of visitor centres across the Jurassic Coast. Some of these include Lulworth Cove Heritage Centre, Chesil Beach Centre and also the Charmouth Heritage Coast Centre. There are also plenty of museums where visitors can explore local stories and even come close up with fossils that have actually been found on this coast. These include museums such as Bridport Museum, Dorset County Museum, Lyme Regis Museum and even smaller places like Sidmouth Museum. The Jurassic Coast is famous for having so many natural landmarks stretched across its 95 miles. Beginning in the east, we start with Old Harry Rocks, which are some stunning white chalk stacks. Next we have Lulworth Cove, which is a beautiful horseshoe-shaped cove which attracts visitors all year round. Durdle is one of the most iconic features on the Jurassic Coast. It's a natural coastal arch which has been formed from Portland limestone. Chesil Beach is one of the finest barrier beaches in the world and it stretches for 17 miles across the Jurassic Coast. Behind it is the Fleet Lagoon, which is an internationally important wetland. Portland Bill is also a beautiful natural landmark on the coast. Because the rock is so resistant to weathering, it actually juts out into the English Channel. The cliffs at Charmouth are also very famous. They're packed full of fossils and they have been popular with fossil hunters for hundreds of years. Lyme Regis is also a well-known landmark on the Jurassic Coast. It's famous for for its fossil-rich cliffs, beautiful beaches and of course the Cobb. Beer in East Devon is such a beautiful destination. It's a landmark because it has Cretaceous chalk rocks popping up in the middle of some Triassic rocks. The stacks at Ladram Bay are formed from rich red Triassic sandstones, and they form quite an iconic landmark in East Devon. At the western end of the site is the Exmouth Geoneedle, which is actually made out of all of the rocks that can be found across the Jurassic coast.